Hello, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. So, let's get today's show on the road, shall we? Oh, and look, the camera finally wants to work. Alrighty. So, we're doing some witchcraft today, right? What is in your magic? Well, today we're going to use a little bit of eucalyptus. We're going to use Adam and Eve root and hibiscus. We're also going to use a little bit of tobacco in there, too. Now, I'm not going to use the organic tobacco. I'm going to use a bit of cigarette. And the reason why is because of what this is an offering, right? This is going to be an offering blend. It's not something that I'm going to be using for an individual spell's purpose, but more for many spells' purpose, right? So an anointing oil in this case. So you're going to want to mind your allergies with the Adam and Eve root and the tobacco, of course. But with the eucalyptus, it's going to bring in fresh energy. And the hibiscus is a cleansing. It's like a clean water washing over things. And so this will be a cleansing oil of the things that you desire, of the things that you want to manifest in both their masculine and feminine forms. And so we're going to use the Adam and Eve root in this case. They are the orchid shell. And in a lot of cases, it's paired with the balm of Gilead piece. So you've got the masculine and the feminine. If you can find it, the real ones actually have the seed pod and everything still attached. And so it's a good, depending on what kind of thing that you're up to. So here is the seed pod, the little like holes the whole way through. And you can use these for protection talismans and stuff too. But that's going to be going in there first. Why? Because we're doing the masculine and we're doing the feminine, right? We're cleansing it. So we're going to use the hibiscus. And so with this, I love hibiscus. It's so good. Jamaica is one of my favorite drinks. So we're only going to use a half a teaspoon of hibiscus because we don't want to overpower it. We want to balance out that love aspect to it. And what I mean by the love aspect to it, it's the bond that you get with the eucalyptus is it's the cleansing, the cooling, the simmering the fires of love, so to speak. Whereas with the eucalyptus, we want more of that. Why? Because in this case, it's about bringing in fresh energy to the situation. And so for that, we'll use a teaspoon. Right? Doesn't seem like much, but the whole point of this, in this case, is to go and use the tobacco. The tobacco is the star player of this. Why? Because it's about offering. It's about giving that manifestation something more. And so giving it that something more and giving it the means by which it can have that, right? It's the reason why when we do offerings at the graveyard, right, we give tobacco or we give whiskey or we give coffee. It's not so much about what we enjoy as the living. It's about remembering what they enjoyed as the deceased, right? And so if I was going to call on an ancestor, right, one of them being, very much a fan of Manhattans, right? One of them being a fan of anisette, one of them not drinking, one of them liking coffee a lot. So in the order of narration, we have from the masculine and feminine, with the cooling of the hibiscus, to the fresh energy of the eucalyptus, and to the fire of the tobacco. All things entrained, so that way what we've got is a new development. And by that new development, I mean we can go through and really get a good grind on these. And if you're going to use this as a, I wouldn't smoke this by any means because you don't want to inhale the orchid. You could use it if you're going to put it at the base of a statue outside. Mind not setting the forest on fire because we are in a drought pretty much across everywhere, unless you're in one of those snowy Snowdonia type places. But the thing is about this one is that it's more about making the oil or more about making a light that can give that honor and give that balance and give that cooling to the masculine and feminine. You can use this in a spell of self-love. You can use this in a spell of reconciliation. You can use this in a spell of deliverance and offering as you giving something to something else and you have the means by which you can give it and the means by which it can be received. So that's why this one is a good blend for today. Just following up with what we were talking about yesterday. It's about yesterday's blend was about creating potency and creating the manifestations, right? And with that, that stuff is the connection to the ancestors, the bonding of the many energies to that which receives the body, and the basis for a spirit body, right? So yesterday was to attach the spirit to its body. Today is about honoring the spirit within it, the masculine and the feminine, giving that manifestation a balance to it, right? And so we give it that balance, and that eucalyptus gives that new energy so that it maintains its balance. So that as we go through and as you get better at creating your spells and you get deeper relationships between those ingredients, you have something that you can then reduce into powder. In this case, I'm going to leave it kind of coarse because I want it to be absorbed by the oil that I put there. And so the oil I'm going to use for this is going to be the jojoba oil, and it'll be in one of those little clay lamps in a couple of weeks. It'll be ready to go. So with oils and stuff, it'll take about 2 months, about 6 to 8 weeks to get a really good base oil going. I would really recommend letting them sit for about 6 months. So again, this is another one of those that you could use to draw the midsummer love, right? Midsummer attachment. You're honoring the warmth of summer. You're giving the cooling aspect to it. And so while you prep things now and prep things early, you'll be able to see what the results could be half a year from now. So it's about having patience in your spellcraft, not just about going through and having something that's ready to go today, but having something that you set up today that's ready to go tomorrow or the next day or the next day after that, right? So again, mind your allergies when it comes to the Adam and Eve root. You don't want to ingest these things. Mind your association with the tobacco. If you can't use tobacco, use another fiery herb. High John root would work. That's not on the list of ingredients for this week, so I didn't use it. But you could use cinnamon instead of the tobacco if you wanted to. Again, make it more fiery. But you're giving that fire and that coolness, like a cool, like sexy fire. Like, you got this. Like, it's okay. That's the basis of what this spell is for today. And it's the foundation of a lot of other opportunities that we're going to have this week to talk about the different spells and their applications. So with that being said, my friends, mind your allergies. This one you shouldn't be that evil with. Like, there shouldn't be that many things that you could do that'll fuck up a person if you do it wrong. You could use this as a base for a love spell, a drawing ointment. But again, because of the tobacco and the chemicals in the tobacco, I wouldn't use it for that. But yeah, you could use this as an ointment. So you put a little bit of that, mix it in with the cream, and use it as an anointing paste. But again, I'd still stick with this as a lamp oil. As far as best use practice it would be, or to use as a talisman ink. So that way what you draw and what you blend, it allows you to do those kinds of things just because of the way the hibiscus and the Adam and Eve root work together, So that as you're thinking about it, as you're going down and you're looking down the rabbit hole of like, all right, well, I've got the eucalyptus and the tobacco, and I've got the hibiscus and the Adam and Eve root. You don't need to necessarily add the tobacco. The tobacco is that extra oomph to give it the masculine energy, right? To get you the feminine energy in this, you could add senna, right? And that's the laxative tea that they sell at the grocery store if you need to find some of that. But it pushes things through, so to speak, right? So as you go through and you think about these things, was like this the spell that I want to do, or are these the bases that I want to use for this spell because this is what they do? So getting used to what the herbs and stuff are going to do, and then actually applying them, figuring out what is it that you want to do with it, right? Like, again, this is for cleansing those things which you love and to add a cooling effect to the fiery passions that are the fiery emotions, the hate, blessings, whatever it is, whatever's harsh in your relationships. This acts as a cooling mechanism for that. So as you go through and you contemplate these things, as you go through and mix these things up, Just be aware of the many different facets that you can use this kind of thing for. And don't be stuck to just one idea. Test it in a couple of different applications. One spell blend can be used in 100 different ways under the right conditions, right? So it's just a matter of how it's layered, how it's stacked with other spells, how it works in conjunction with other elements of your spellcraft. Like, are you going to add crystals to it? Are you going to add antler horns to it? Are you going to add shaved like feathers and stuff to it? Like, you could do a lot of different things and make a spell bottle, make talismans with it. You could do lots of stuff. So I look forward to seeing what you guys get up to. I finally fixed the comments so that way we could chat about this a little bit more. But otherwise, I will see you this afternoon for the Right in the Afternoon. Stay safe, my friends, and I will see you there. And remember, don't be evil.